Everyone, it's Nate from the future with a brief recap. Last episode, your boy and mine, Thrawn, was tasked with fighting giant space bats to save something called a Smeth Star. Definitely a top secret battle station that the Empire has that you'll never see coming. And this then took him into some weird conspiracy to steal goods, but then also the Grisks are there, and now Thrawn has come across a 3-ship communication array thing, and he's going to have to both solve this Grisk problem and this bat problem and figure out who is the traitor in the Empire's ranks. So here we go. They just wanted to verify that Commodore Farrow was a high-ranking person who could guarantee their safety so that they could then blow themselves up and take out a high-ranking officer and ingratiate themselves to the Grisks, who Thrawn points out would not know one way or the other if their plan was a success. And what kind of people are these Grisks if they can compel you to do this? What kind of people are they, Ben?
I'd say they're on par with the Empire. Maybe a little less successful. Like, I don't know, like, what's better? Like,
I think that they're trying... So the Empire is mostly humans. Mostly.
Yeah.
And the Grisks, I think they're trying to make it like... Almost like the Dominion of Star Trek, where you've got like one species that's coercing and manipulating all these other species into doing their bidding. Thrawn finds some human prisoners. The prisoners from that chop shop, Ben. And they were all interrogated, like, brutally. And both with, like, psychic means and other means. And some of the things that they were interrogating them on, not just what is Stardust, but also what makes what are things that humans like? What are things that humans don't like? Like, they're trying to figure out how to manipulate Imperial subjects.
Speaking of things humans like... Sorry, gonna derail you here. This is a Nate-esque interruption. But I remembered something as soon as we stopped recording Bookshops and Bone Dust that I have not had a chance to raise with you. I kind of can't believe I forgot it in the moment. But that whole time, you're going on this moral crusade about porn books. I had to stop and think, wait, don't I know a guy named Chad Dingleton?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That looks an awful lot like Nate in a stupid beanie and sunglasses?
I don't know what you're talking about, Ben.
How dare you? Go on.
Well, Ben,
people like erotica. That's how I got that in there. That's what I was going to say.
According to my book sales, that's untrue. So, checkmate.
That's not true. That's because we haven't gotten Nuzzlehouse to read it for us yet.
There you go. Let's.
I got to get a quote from Glenn. See what he wants for it.
Did you know that this is the 7th episode of Thrawn and the 8th Thrawn book that has been read for this podcast?
How did we do more books than episodes?
Yeah, this is editor Nate. My count was wrong, actually. We don't have more books than episodes, first of all. I don't know where Ben got that notion. Maybe I said it weird. I'm not going to go back and listen, though. That would take too much. You know, that's like a 5-second clip, man. I can't be expected to re-listen to that. But we actually have, let's see, 14 episodes of Thrawn, if you want to count the bonus supercut. And we have covered 7 books in the Thrawn series. No, 8 books, because the duology was 1 episode, as I stated originally. Yeah, 14 episodes, 8 books. We're getting to Dune levels. We are going to surpass Dune, or bust. I will find Thrawn books if I have to. This is happening now. This is my new goal for the podcast. Because I did the Thrawn duology all at once, because that wasn't going to be a 2-parter. No way.
Gotta be
Thrawn is this podcast's favorite blue alien.
That's true.
Yeah, so Thrawn, they get their message off before they destroy that ship. The humans are like, here's what they interrogated us about, yada, yada, yada. We don't know who hired us. And Thrawn's like, well, you're going back to Coruscant. Have fun being sent to a penal colony, you fucks. Anyway, now that the message has been sent, the Grisks are going to come here and sterilize the area, but they'll probably keep their footprint pretty small, so it's not going to be like a fleet, but they'll probably send a few ships in here. Meanwhile, Ben, Eli, Ronan, and the Death Troopers, they're on a seedy planet where that governor who might be a bad guy is.
Okay.
And
what are they doing?
The Death Troopers are beating the fuck out of people. They're like, we gotta keep a low profile. Someone tries to swipe Ronan's credits or whatever, and the Death Trooper beats the fuck out of him. And then one person tries to come at him, and they beat the fuck out of that guy. And another one has a gun, and so he throws a comm unit at that guy and beats the fuck out of him. Finally, they all go in at once. They're like, okay, we learned our lesson. This isn't like a James Bond, James Thrawn. This isn't a James Bond kung fu scene or whatever. Like, if we go in one at a time, you'll beat all of our asses. How about we just reveal that all of us are here with guns pointed at you?
Well, you see, the problem is none of you are protagonists of the films, so the stormtroopers are going to be very effective against you.
Well, these are Death Troopers, Ben. They're chemically and biologically enhanced.
Oh,
they have
Taylor?
Increased reflexes, and he's whatever. You know what? The Bashar. He's a Death Trooper from Dune. That's what it's like.
I was going to say they sound like Sardaukar, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because these 5 people are pointing guns at them, and I should mention they're all dressed as civilians, so they don't know they're Death Troopers. And the Death Troopers are like, all right, 5 against 2? You guys have guns? We're unarmed? Sounds like you're in for a rough time, because we're gonna kick your fucking asses. And Eli's looking around, and he's like, I'm noticing there's other people in the crowd who don't look like they're just onlookers going about their business. Maybe they've got guns under their cloaks. Let me try to talk us out of this. And so what happens, Ben, is a very, very long thing where they pretend like they're part of Nightshade, whatever the fuck the guy is from the first Thrawn book.
And
remember him?
Eli's like, let me tell you about next day shipping. It's going to be huge, okay? So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to subscribe to an Empire Prime account. Okay, it's a moderate yearly fee. It's going to go up every year, unfortunately. But once that, you could do the Prime next day shipping, and you can get them, boys.
So this is a gangster, Cisse, and I should mention that this is mostly like unimportant.
No.
Eli is like, yeah, I know, it's hard to believe that we went on a side quest
with 2 Death Troopers, 2 unnamed Death Troopers.
They're not unnamed.
Thrawn's third banana and a guy I don't remember. You're telling me this isn't critical?
Yeah, they're going after that governor. They have to inspect one of those ships.
That governor who
no
one cares. No one cares about that governor.
Yeah, well, this does have a little bit of a point, but a lot of the build-up is like, where's Thrawn? Can we get back to Thrawn? But it's not as bad as what it was when we were following Price in the first book, or what sounds like Padme in the second book.
I don't know. Padme was gold.
You said to skip over all of it.
Now, don't go be... you know, you're going to sit there and you're going to use my words against me, but you see, what I meant to say was, I just suddenly lost the will to read. And no one
What a
really...
selfish dick, am I right? You just gave birth to twins, and then you're like, okay, bye.
Well, their dad's still around.
Yeah, he is. Except he's not, because his dad was betrayed and murdered by Darth Vader, the Lord of the Sith. So, you know.
So, you're not an orphan from a certain point of view. But as
and
far
they're like, okay, Leia, you can be royalty. How about we make Luke like a farmer? Yeah, I'm feeling farmer for this one.
Well, toughen his man hands so he can hold a lightsaber better. What are we going to do? Make the princess of the fairy tale a Jedi?
Absolutely not. Even though, Ben, the Force is female.
I don't know if...
Disney is selling that to you.
I don't know if Joseph Campbell wrote that in Maps of Meaning or whatever.
It's called The Heart of Darkness. Anyway, Ben. Basically, Eli tells them a story. It seems like they're going to believe the story, but then they don't believe the story. And then they have this guy called the Mole, alright? And get this. He's actually a mole. He's not a slicer like he pretends to be, but he's an Imperial internal affairs officer.
I thought... I'm sorry. I was very excited for a moment when I thought he was some kind of mole alien.
No.
Like evolved from a rodent.
He's a mole. He's a mole, like, planted there. Yeah.
That's
so,
less special.
He blows his cover by beating up these guys. Cisse gets shot. She's dead. And he's like, well, my cover's been blown. I hope you guys can find what you're looking for. And the Death Troopers are like, we could just murder all of them. They're unconscious. They're the only ones who saw you. I could just kill them all right now, and then you can make up whatever story you want. And he's like, nah, we're gonna tag them and send them to prison. Okay, if they're going to prison, your cover isn't necessarily blown. Whatever. Anyway, he gets them into the Imperial sector. They find those parts that aren't supposed to be there. They find that gas that gets the Grolix. And Ronan is like, we gotta preserve the evidence, and he takes off. And he gets captured by a tractor beam. And the governor wants to take him into custody, but he wants to be taken in by Grand Admiral Savit, who happens to be nearby, because he...
What?
He thinks the governor is a bad guy, and Savit can protect him then.
So he's being arrested and he pulls some sovereign citizen bullshit or something? Like
he's arrested and he says, I am a vice director for the Stardust. And I can explain all this, but I need to explain it to Grand Admiral
It's the Stethtar. See, that's how it feels. That's how it feels.
You know I'm not going to learn my lesson.
No, I know you're not going to learn your lesson.
You know I'm just going to have to like double down next time, right?
Oh, I'm going to get him back for this as if it's your revenge.
So yeah, he does all that, and the Grand Admiral does agree to take him in over the governor's protest. Back at Thrawn, Ben, they're preparing for this attack, and Aralani's back on her ship. She's waiting here, and Thrawn's like, I'm gonna go deal with this other problem with the governor and whatnot, and I'll be back to if you need my help. And they're like, and also Eli has returned, and yada yada yada. Everyone's getting ready for the final battle, Ben, of which there are 2.
Well,
because every good Star Wars needs at least 2 final battles.
Do they happen at the same?
Back to basically yes.
Okay.
The question is, will Thrawn finish his battle to bail Arlani out of her battle in time?
Do we care?
Yes, Ben. Because you like all these characters by now. I'm not doing it justice, but you like our blue boy and blue girl.
Arlani is the Chiss Admiral I don't know anything about.
Yeah, but if you read the book, you might.
What?
And Eli's there.
I like Eli. So, okay, Thrawn's going to be fighting some Grisks?
So, no. Arlani fights the Grisks. Thrawn is going to be fighting Grand Admiral Savit. Dun 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 dun.
Oh, was he behind it?
Grand Admiral Savit, and not the governor, was behind it the whole time. And Savit has a plan. He's going to hand over that prisoner, which is Ronan. But he's going to be like, he's not actually Ronan. He was an imposter. Oops, I accidentally shot him, and also I accidentally shot the guy you sent over to pick him up. My bad. But then, the guy who came to pick him up was Thrawn himself, Ben. So that plan's out the window. And then Thrawn presents his evidence. Savit didn't give him all that information. Some of that information being the gas that attracts the Grisks. And also, yada yada yada, the Grisks have a special encrypted communication channel from the Empire that only Grand Admirals have access to. The G77 encryption, Ben. Dun 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 dun.
G77 has to be a reference to something.
Yeah. It's the guitar chord, right?
A G7 is a guitar chord.
Yeah.
A G77
yeah.
is not a guitar chord.
Yeah, well, you couldn't just do G7, right? You had to add... It's like Order 66.
It's a
it couldn't be
balisec
666. There you go. There you go.
Oh, no.
Paying tribute to Gurney. So now Thrawn is going to defeat Grand Admiral Savit without even being in command of his own ship. He left detailed written instructions to Commodore Farrow on how exactly to disable his flagship. Also, Captain Pelion is
down,
here.
left, right.
Kind of, Ben.
Start.
They do a lot of repositioning and ties, and I will say Captain Pelion is here. And he's sent away because he's not loyal to Savit, Ben, and maybe he's going to show up in other Legends properties, except he fucking won't, because then the First Order happens and ruins everything. Anyway. Ben.
The First Order, I don't like, if Thrawn really does come back and works on the First Order, I don't like that.
No, it's stupid.
I like the idea that the First Order is its own thing. And that maybe there's the Empire out there that's like, well, those guys are crazy.
I like the First Order just not existing. They had 3 movies and I never understood their ideology besides we are the bad guys.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like the idea that you could have, and again, this is a level of complexity that Star Wars doesn't really grasp, but you could have, space Russia and space, terrorist organizations and space, Nazi Germany, and you could have all kinds of space evil. You could have space Donald Trump trying to run for election in the New Republic.
Sorry, it's all just the Empire, and no one cares about the New Republic. We blew them up? ? I don't even know if they blew them up. But
they blew up 3
some
planets
people blew up.
at one point.
They blew up 5 planets, Ben.
Oh, they blew up 5
Justice
planets?
for those other 2 planets, none of whom I know anything about.
No.
I don't know who the people are. I don't know who the planets were. I don't know anything about those.
Well, one of them
really
was
stupid.
a planet of orphans, and one of them was a planet of endangered species.
One of them was a planet where a guy was like, we finally did it, people. We finally rebuilt it. I am christening this new Alderaan. What is that in the sky?
And the other two kind of sucked.
Yeah. They were like Pluto. They were dwarf planets.
They were dwarf planets. Oh, my.
So Thrawn has detailed instructions to the Commodore to defeat these 3 Star Destroyers. Mostly it's about disabling Savit's ship, and the Commodore has to show that she has some leadership potential as well, because she has to modify the plan. Yeah, Ben, but shut up. This is her coming of age moment. I don't know.
If she didn't have leadership potential, oh boy.
So Savit's like, Thrawn, you don't know anything about me. And Thrawn's like, oh no, I do know you. That's why we're going to kick your ass. And
I studied your drawings from the 8th grade.
No, Ben, he's not an artist.
Period.
He's not an artist. You see, he's like, yeah, I don't have art. All the pieces at my house, even if you did find a way to study them, I just bought those. And some of them were just my parents buying them.
They're all like hotel lobby art. They don't say anything. They're just inoffensive shapes.
And your art thing is stupid anyway. And Thrawn's like, well, actually, I listened to your music. Because, Ben, not only... ordinarily, music doesn't help out Thrawn. But this guy, he's a composer and a director. So Thrawn listened to all of his beats. Beats by Savitz, dog. And he's like,
he's a house
I know.
DJ. Like composer is what he prefers. Composer is what he tells people he does, but in reality, he's just like a house DJ.
I presume he was the director of one of those weird operas that Palpatine was talking to Anakin. He's like, he could influence the midichlorians to create life. And Anakin's like, he's not the only one creating life. Up high, am I right? No, not okay. All right.
Okay. All I'm saying is I am potent.
Goddamn right. Twins
on
Palpatine.
The first try.
Twins.
Palpatine's just like, okay,
I think I made a mistake, but
I think Palpatine was thinking that the whole fucking time.
I'm doubling down. You know, sunk cost fallacy. This has been my plan for the last 2 movies in like 20 years. I'm turning this guy to the dark side, even if I really don't want to anymore.
Anakin's vested now. You might as well just like put him somewhere and wait till he retires.
Which will be when his son takes his place. It's a system that works for itself, because you deal with the inheritance right then and there. You're like, there you go. You inherited all your dad's responsibilities and wealth and shit. He's dead now. And then the Death Star exploded, so Palpatine would have died anyway, but, you know. Anyway, Ben.
Do you think Darth Vader owned a house?
Yes. He owned a house on that volcano planet. We saw it in Rogue One.
You think that's very nice? I thought he just stayed in capsule hotels there. I'm
sure that the Emperor was like, how could I be really evil towards Darth Vader? You know what? You know what traumatized him? That lava he fell into. I'm going to get him a house on a lava planet. You know what? The same lava planet. Same exact lava planet is where I'm making him live, because I want to trigger his PTSD all the time.
He's like, I've been trying to make this guy quit for so long.
So Commodore Pharaoh disables the ship. those Death Troopers were in Thrawn's shuttle. They came out inside the ship, commandeered some TIE fighters, blew up some of the turbo laser batteries, and then the Commodore was like, all right, other Star Destroyers, the TIE fighters on his own ship are mutinying against him, and that is because they know he's guilty as fuck. Here's all that data. Let's mutiny against him. And they all start mutinying against him, including Captain Pelion, who was not in this attack, but he was like, hey, I reviewed all this data. He's like, I reviewed all this data. He's guilty as fuck.
I reviewed all this data, and I'll never stop smoking cigars.
So, Savit wants to destroy the Chimera, and the captain on board is like, no, I won't destroy the Chimera. And then Savit is like, you know what? I, Savit, am gonna yeet Thrawn to hell. Bam! He pulls out a gun, but Ronan throws his cape over his head?
You know, if it works, that would be distracting. You're not expecting that.
He misses the shot on Thrawn, and then he gets stunned by that Imperial Internal Affairs officer, and the Internal Affairs officer is like, well, you're not supposed to have a gun that is on anything except stun on a bridge, so now we can relieve him of command officially. Thrawn wins. Checkmate.
All due to a gun safety technicality.
Yeah, and then I'm going to yada yada through the final battle. Thrawn does not come back to save Arlani. She does it all by herself, Ben. She and Eli and the crew, they managed to disable 2 Grisks ships, which then self-detonate one another because, you know, they don't want to be captured.
You think the Grisks are like a suicide cult?
Hey. What?
Like the Grisks are just like a suicide cult? Like they just... I don't know. What they think Xenu is going to come get them or something?
No, because most of the people dying on those ships are aliens that aren't Grisk. There's probably like a Grisk captain and his like 3 or 4 crew members who are Grisk, and then everyone else on that ship is a subservient species. So, you know. It's like to them, if those ships blow up, they lost 2 ships and like 10 real people.
Who's the real space racist?
Everyone?
Yeah, it is everyone, isn't it? Yeah, there's really no one to root for here.
Root for Thrawn.
I
Thrawn.
I have no choice, I guess.
So, Thrawn and Arlani, they're like, all right, goodbye and whatnot, and oh wait, no, first, we got to resolve the Death Star conflict. Ben, Thrawn failed to stop the Grolic threat, according to Ronan. But also, he's gained respect for Thrawn, so he doesn't bring up any activities that could be seen as treasonous, like his collusion with his own people, who are aliens to the Empire. He's like, yeah, they were there, but they had a minor role, like, not treason. But Stardust is saved. I'm sure nothing bad will ever happen to that project. Mission accomplished. Savit's in custody. He was stealing from the Death Star because he wanted to get some value out of it. He was like, I stole those turbo laser components because, like, they were just going to go to waste if the system ever gets destroyed. And Ronan's like, but that won't ever happen, because how could you possibly? And then Thrawn is like, okay, well, you know what? Until your system is built, it's vulnerable. And the Grisks are trying to find it. Who knows who else is trying to find it? You should put Darth Vader on that vessel. And Krennic is like, I don't know about that. And Tarkin is like, no, that's a great idea. Vader's going to be reassigned over to the Death Star. Perfect.
Tarkin, who does not work on the Death Star, is like, yep, that's where he should be. I want Darth Vader way over there.
Yeah.
In a part of space we don't know, hidden from all view.
Goddamn right. Thrawn is like, all right, Ronan, you got 2 options. 3 options, really. You could go to the Death Star. You could go back to it. But, look, I've deduced that you hate the Emperor. And And Darth Vader, he's not going to deduce that, but he's going to sense it, and then he will choke the life out of you and break your neck as an example to others.
Also, he's just
that's what he does.
Big Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
He's never
So you really want to be
happy.
around him.
Guy likes nothing.
Yeah. I tried to look at his art. It was just a bunch of a guy just murdering children over and over again, but being really sad about it.
And every time like he orders a steak, they ask him how he wants it done, and he won't give them like a medium well, you know. He'll say pink, whatever that means, and then they have to guess, and they never guess right, and he sends it back. And personally, I think he just wants to send it back.
And he didn't even really want it pink to begin with. He always wants it well done.
Always.
Kind of like him.
He just doesn't want to say well done because he knows tacky.
Kind of like his face.
Darth Vader
so Ronan,
sucks.
Yeah. So Ronan, you can go back to that. Or you can join the Chiss. They could use you. And Ronan's like, okay, this is all your secret plan with the Emperor.
That would be treason.
Get all the Jedi from the Chiss. I gotcha. I'm on board with this super secret plan. I'm an idiot, and he does that. Yeah, it would be Thrawn Treason.
And that was a Thrawn Treason.
And then Arlani mentions that the Chiss Ascendancy is it's coming close to civil war. Probably because the Grisks are influencing powerful families against one another, because that's what the Grisks do. And that would be so awesome if it wasn't just going to end in Rey Star Wars. And Thrawn's like, don't worry, I'll find a way to stop the Grisk.
He starts posting the suicide prevention hotline.
And then, yes, perfect, actually. And then there's an epilogue where the Emperor is like, you motherfucker. I bet you're treasonous. But also, I kind of need you around. So I don't want to just execute you or get rid of your Grand Admiralship. So I'm gonna give you a fate worse than death. That's right. I'm reassigning you
Darth
to
Vader's
Star
roommate.
Wars Rebels. No, that would actually be fun. No, you're going to Star Wars Rebels. Oh, yeah, also the Commodore got a promotion. Thrawn was like, yeah, I didn't want you to be the leader of this task force. I wanted you to be the leader of this fleet. Booyah! So that's it. Thrawn goes off into Star Wars Rebels, where a space emu or whale or cow, I don't even know, magically transports him out of the story so that he can come back in Ashoka, so that he can, I don't care, man. So what do you think?
I don't know. I don't want to say it could be your lackluster explanation, but it seems like the weaker of the three books.
I thought it was stronger than the first book, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because the side quest was actually relatively short, and it did eventually tie back into the main quest.
I don't know.
And you weren't getting a lot of different perspectives outside of that. It was almost all Thrawn all the time.
You're probably right. It just feels underwhelming for the conclusion.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem, Ben. You can't have a grand conclusion. It's building up like the Grisks are a threat, and the Emperor is like, no, they're not. Go join Star Wars Rebels, and then get written out of the story. We gotta blow up 2 Death Stars, and I gotta be on the second one, so we can't do anything with those Grisks. It's just like, it's set up for a different story, I feel like. And it's like,
yeah.
I think that if this were like, because I get this vibe that he wanted this to be the canon version of the Yuuzhan Vong. An alien threat that is massive and can coerce people to go against their own interests, and like, oh my god, how are we going to stop this? They're destroying the Chiss Ascendancy, then what are they going to do? Are they going to come after the Empire next? Sounds like they're coming after the Empire sooner or later. They're this threat lingering on this edge, and it's like, oh man, this is going to be cool, except I know that We're never gonna see Luke, Han, and Leia go after the Grisks. We're never gonna see. Okay, maybe we'll see Rey Star Wars go after them, but I heard that series was delayed because there's nowhere else you can go. All of the old heroes are gone, and I don't know who the new heroes are, Ben. I feel like I hate. I'm not gonna go out and say like
I literally don't remember their names. I know
There's
Rey.
Finn. I
Rey.
had to remember Finn. There's Poe and Finn and Rey. I forgot Finn while I was typing up the report, and he's the most interesting of the three by far. I get why Finn is fighting in the rebellion or the resistance or whatever. I don't know why Rey does.
I don't even remember.
Like, I get why Luke does. Poe,
I know he flies an X-wing.
Committed treason.
That's all I remember.
He committed treason?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Purple hair lady.
Yeah, he got into an argument with the lady from Jurassic Park.
Is that who that is?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, my thing is...
who was the girl that took a bullet for Finn or something? She
Rose?
Yeah.
Rose?
And then he was like, but we're just friends.
and then she was basically written out of the next movie. She was like, I gotta stay here. And
you know what? I'm not getting paid enough to deal with Star Wars fans.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like canon Thrawn. A lot more than Legends Thrawn, but overall, I like the feeling that Legends has. That canon just doesn't.
Yeah.
I felt like canon... Like Legends had a lot of, like, potential. It's like, oh,
I'll stand by it.
Go next?
By the end of Legends, I think they were in a really interesting place, telling some interesting stories. There was always a lot of fluff, and it was fanficky, but...
Yeah, but even like Kyle Katarn, for example. It's like, okay, that's interesting.
What was he say? It had a... I don't know if personality is the right word, but like it had character, maybe. Like, it had an identity.
Yeah, I would say that.
And this new stuff, like Timothy Zahn stuff has an identity because... Timothy Zahn has been working on these characters forever, and like I'm sure if Christy Golden's still writing, if Karen Travis is still writing, I'm sure their stuff also has a vision behind it, but like it's the overall guidance is just too scattered. Like, I'll say one thing for George Lucas, like he threw his weight behind the old Legends stuff and let them do whatever they want, and kind of just sat back and gave his blessing, and they would all go out to Skywalker Ranch and plan the series. And
yeah,
now it's like Disney can't figure out its content plan for Marvel or Lucasfilm or anything they own anymore. And yeah, it
feels like
written by a committee. I mean, it was always written by a committee, but like now it's like literally like written by a
bunch
committee.
Of suits. Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least planned by one.
Yeah. It also feels like, as much as they talk about hope and all that other bullshit in the sequel trilogy, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of hope. At the end of the 8th movie, the Resistance is literally like a elementary school classroom worth of people. There's like 30 people in the entire Resistance. Pretty sure you lost. But I also felt like the First Order wasn't like galaxy spanning like the Empire. Everything just felt small and low stakes and unimportant to me. And it also feels like a big fucking downer. Legends made me feel like it has all this potential to go in any direction. Oh, Luke's gonna create a new order, and there's
they thought
extra.
There's
the alien
over.
aliens,
they thought they
the
weren't
extra galactic.
do another movie ever, so they just did whatever they wanted with it.
Yeah,
and now they can't touch anything
for fear that it will break even further, because the sequels. I don't think there's anyone who, well, I shouldn't say that, there are weird people, who likes all three of them, because each one was a reaction to the previous one. So, it's like, okay, if you did like the 7th movie, you probably didn't like the 8th movie. If you liked the 8th movie, you probably didn't like the 9th movie. And the way it ended, it felt like there's only 3 people in the galaxy that I even know anymore. And I don't know. I struggled to remember one of their names. Oh, I guess 4 people. Chewbacca's there. Woohoo. I don't know. Like, Rey can't make another Jedi Order. That would be dumb. Where do you go with her? I don't even know what her wants and needs are as a character.
No, I think this has always been the problem of the shared universe stuff, and I think they figured all the problems of the comic book series and all the problems of like the book series, they ran into it all with movies. Like, shared universe stuff very quickly becomes super convoluted, and most people don't want to watch or read every entry in the shared universe. Like, I've often said, when it came to Marvel Comics when I was a kid, you either read the X-Men or you read everything else. Because it makes absolutely no sense for the X-Men to exist in a world where people hate people with superpowers, but then Captain America and Iron Man are like everybody's favorite, and people in New York love Spider-Man. Like, that just doesn't make sense. The X-Men are their own thing. And I think that's what it is with like Thrawn now. It's like, I like Thrawn. I don't ever want Thrawn to interact with Ahsoka or Rey, or the fact that they have to takes a perfectly serviceable Thrawn story and ruins it. Because Timothy Zahn actually did a really interesting thing with these books where I don't give a fuck about the Death Star.
Yeah.
It's there, and it's a distraction. I want to know more about the Chiss. I want to know more about how Thrawn is going to deal with the Emperor. I like Thrawn's specific relationship with the Emperor. And I don't really ever want him to connect to anything else. I don't know. I don't know where they go, and I don't care. And I kind of hope it doesn't work out for them.
Yeah, well, I that's the thing. I want to know where it goes, but I want to know where this goes. Not the live action stuff that I don't give 2 shits about.
Yeah. No, it's a shame.
I would have loved, like, the perfect Star Wars book would have been this Thrawn and the original heroes, I think.
Well, do you think it is worth you doing a quick rubric?
Yeah, let's do it.
I won't, because I didn't read it.
Bring that up. Where is it? Here it is.
My one cat she's whining.
Content and ideas, I gave it a 4. Tied together a lot of threads from the first and what I can assume are the second book.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And it also does a good job of both telling its own story and also setting up stuff for other series. If you're that kind of nerd who consumes all the Star Wars stuff, you're like, oh, Rebels, I know that. Oh, Rey Star Wars, I know that. The First Order, I know that. Ashoka, I know that. So, like, I think it did a pretty serviceable job. Obviously, it's the Star Wars trap of I can't really give it a 5 because is it really original? Exceptionally original?
I think a 4 is reasonable.
But, yeah, I think it's solid content and ideas. Organization, I went ahead and gave it a 5.
Really?
Besides that one little side quest, which did eventually tie it back into the main quest. Solid organization. We spent like all of our time with Thrawn. There wasn't another random character like Padme or Price or anyone else to take away from it. Yeah, you give it a 5. Use of language, I went ahead. I just gave it 3.
Yeah,
nothing
really
spectacular. Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Timothy
Personal
Zahn's
preference.
Personal preference.
Personal preference. Gave it a 5.
Oh my.
Yeah, I was a big fan of this book.
A lofty 5. So I guess recommendation strength?
I gave it a 4. I would recommend it to most fans. A strong recommendation to anyone who likes adventure books, sci-fi books, Star Wars books, and a weak recommendation to a general audience who maybe wants to like see what all the fuss is about. Look at the Thrawn Trilogy. This Thrawn Trilogy. Look at this Thrawn Trilogy.
So what does that total up to? Like a solid 4?
81 out of 100. Yep.
So that's like a 4.5 probably. Close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Another successful entry into the Thrawn universe.
The Thrawniverse. Bye. Thrawn with the wind.
Thrawn with the... You already used that one.
Damn it.
You used that at the beginning. Do you have any other Thrawn puns?
We already used Thrawntanamo Bay, which is the best one by far. I'm not going to top.
Thrawn of the Dead?
I thought about that. Thrawn of the Dead.
Shy, do you have a movie pun for Thrawn?
Oh, movie pun? It has to be specific because I was going to say I have a big Thrawning, but that's not shy.
Okay, yep, and that's how we leave. Bye.
Bye.
Alright, everyone, that is a wrap for this week. If you want to know more, you gotta stick around for next week. That's right. The mystery isn't gonna be revealed and solved until next week. So, I'd like to thank all of our patrons, but an extra special thanks to our Yacht Plan tier subscribers. In no particular order, that would be John Bierce, real author of The Mage Errant, author of The Rack, author of a third project whose name I don't yet know. You've got Isekai Sensei Sama from that time I got reincarnated in the same world as an anime podcaster podcast. You've got Jamie, the Gravy Man, from the If You Want the Gravy blog, where he reviews everything except books or else. And then you got Shy with a Y, who I think has a TikTok, until it gets banned by the United States government, at least. Okay, bye.
And what of the rebellion? If the rebels have obtained a complete technical readout of the station, it is possible, however unlikely, that they might find a weakness and exploit it.
Any attack made by the rebels against this station would be a useless gesture, no matter what technical data they've obtained.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Hey everyone, it's Nate from the future with a brief recap. Last episode, your boy and mine, Thrawn, was tasked with fighting giant space bats to save something called a Smethstar. Definitely a top secret battle station that the Empire has that you'll never see coming. And this then took him into some weird conspiracy to steal goods, but then also the Grisks are there, and now Thrawn has come across a 3-ship communication array thing, and he's going to have to both solve this Grisk problem and this bat problem and figure out who is the traitor in the Empire's ranks. So here we go.